fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The stale air in the forgotten library wrapped around me like a shroud, a lover's suffocating embrace. It was thick, heavy with the scent of aged parchment, a whisper of vanilla from the decaying paper, and the faintest, almost undetectable hint of sandalwood clinging to the shadowed corners. A single shaft of moonlight pierced the gloom, illuminating dancing dust motes. Their lazy, swirling patterns were a stark contrast to the frantic, erratic beat of my heart hammering against my ribs. I traced the cracked spine of a leather-bound tome with a trembling finger. The texture was rough, worn smooth by time and countless hands. It was a tangible connection to the world outside, a grounding counterpoint to the swirling chaos of my thoughts. Infinite power, they called it, a gift, a blessing bestowed upon me by some benevolent, unseen force, but it felt like a noose tightening with each passing day, a gilded cage built of expectations and fear. The weight of it pressed against me, a constant, suffocating presence that stole my breath and made my limbs ache. And all I wanted in that moment, more than mystical secrets or world-altering decisions, was a damn sandwich. The thought had barely formed when a voice, smooth as aged whiskey and laced with amusement, shattered the silence. You had infinite, truly infinite power. It purred from the deeper shadows of the library, its source hidden amongst the towering shelves, and you used it all to make a sandwich. My head snapped up, the scent of leather and old paper momentarily forgotten. The heat of Kalen's gaze seared my skin, a tangible touch even before I could fully make him out in the dim light. He stepped into the shaft of moonlight, revealing himself in all his infuriating glory. Tall, lithe, with muscles that moved beneath his dark clothes like liquid shadow, his golden eyes burned with amusement, flecked with sparks of something else. Anticipation, challenge. Beside him, half hidden in the darkness, Reese grinned. His emerald eyes sparkled with mischievous delight, and the familiar scent of cedar and spice, so uniquely his, wrapped around me, a comforting warmth that did little to soothe my racing pulse. I was hungry, I retorted, summoning a half-eaten sandwich into my hand with a flick of my wrist. Roast beef, sharp cheddar, and spicy mustard, layered between slices of still-warm rye bread. The flavors exploded on my tongue, a momentary glorious distraction from the way Kalen's presence made my pulse race and the unwelcome awareness of Reese's nearness. I took another bite, savoring the sharp tang of the mustard, the rich, savory saltiness of the beef, the comforting chewiness of the bread. "I'm not a queen," I mumbled around a mouthful of sandwich, trying to project nonchalance, and I wanted a sandwich. Reese chuckled, the sound a warm caress that sent a shiver down my spine despite myself. "You're quite the enigma, Elara, power to reshape reality," and yet, he stepped closer, the shadows clinging to him like a second skin. His fingers brushed against mine as he reached for the sandwich, a fleeting, almost accidental contact that sent a jolt of electricity racing up my arm, prickling my skin with a sudden awareness. A low growl rumbled in Kalen's chest, a possessive sound that sent a different kind of shiver down my spine, one that tightened my stomach and made my breath catch in my throat. "Simple is boring," he murmured, stepping closer still, the heat radiating from his body a silent promise. "Power like yours, it demands to be tested." The library seemed to shrink around us, the towering shelves looming like silent judges, pressing in with the weight of their knowledge. Kalen's golden gaze held mine captive, pinning me in place. His eyes flickered with something darker, something primal and dangerous that made my breath hitch in my throat. "You think you can handle it?" he asked, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through my chest, sending tremors of anticipation and fear through my veins. I swallowed hard, the sandwich suddenly forgotten, the delicious flavors turning to ash in my mouth. My palms were sweating, and I could feel the frantic beat of my heart echoing in my ears. "Handle what?" I managed to whisper, though my voice trembled, betraying my carefully constructed facade of indifference. "The truth," he replied, his lips curling into a slow, knowing smirk that promised both pleasure and pain. "The truth about what you are, what you can do, the potential you've been so desperately trying to suppress." Reese stepped closer, his emerald eyes gleaming with an unnerving curiosity, as if I were some fascinating specimen under a microscope. "You've been hiding from it, Elara, running from the inevitable, but you can't hide forever. The power will always find you." I shook my head, denial rising in my throat like bile. "I'm not hiding, I don't want this, any of it. The power, the responsibility, the expectations, I never asked for any of it." Kalen's smirk deepened, becoming a predatory grin. He leaned in, invading my personal space, his breath warm and minty against my ear. "But it wants you." His words were a silken caress, yet they sent a shiver of dread down my spine, a chilling premonition of things to come. I felt the weight of his gaze like a physical touch, pressing down on me, suffocating me. Reese reached out, his fingers brushing against my arm, a light, reassuring touch that offered a strange comfort amidst the rising tension. "You're stronger than you think," he said softly, his voice a low murmur that seemed to bypass my defenses and speak directly to the fear that gnawed at my insides. "You just need to believe in yourself, embrace the power, not fear it." I looked between them, caught in the crossfire of their contrasting personalities, their opposing approaches. Two men who seemed to know more about me, about my capabilities, than I did myself. Two men who held a key to unlocking a part of me I was terrified to unleash. "And if I do?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, the question laced with a desperate plea for reassurance, for an escape. Kalen's golden eyes gleamed with a dangerous light, a hint of ruthlessness lurking beneath the surface. "Then we'll make you." The words were spoken softly, almost a caress, but the underlying threat was unmistakable. He would break me down, strip away my resistance, and force me to confront the truth of my own power, whether I wanted to or not. The air between us crackled with tension, thick and heavy with unspoken desires and veiled threats. I felt the power within me stir, a restless beast that had been sleeping for far too long, now awakened by their presence, by their challenge. It clawed at the edges of my control, eager to be unleashed. I took a deep breath, the scent of cedar and spice filling my lungs, grounding me, centering me. I met their gazes, one challenging, one encouraging, and made a decision. "All right," I said, my voice surprisingly steady despite the storm raging inside me. "Show me." Kalen's smirk widened into a full-blown grin, a flash of white teeth in the dim light. He stepped back, creating a space between us, but his golden eyes never left mine, holding me captive in their intense gaze. "Finally," he said, his voice filled with anticipation, a hint of barely suppressed excitement. "Let's see what you're made of, Elara. Let's see if you're worthy of this power." Reese chuckled, the sound laced with amusement and a hint of something else, intrigue. He leaned against one of the towering bookshelves, his emerald eyes sparkling with mischievous delight. "This should be interesting," he murmured, a silent observer ready to watch the fireworks. The library seemed to hold its breath, the ancient tomes and forgotten scrolls witnesses to the unfolding drama. I stood between them, the weight of their expectations pressing down on me, threatening to crush me. But beneath the fear, beneath the uncertainty, for the first time I felt a spark of something else, something that might just be courage. A flicker of defiance in the face of the overwhelming power that threatened to consume me. I took another deep breath, steeling my resolve, and met their gazes with newfound determination. "All right," I said again, my voice stronger this time, resonating with a newfound conviction. "Let's do this."